Commander Razzoth stood at the panoramic window of Outpost Delta 7, his forearms crossed behind his back as he gazed out at the crimson desert stretching endlessly before him. The twin suns of this forsaken sector cast long shadows across the crystalline defense towers, their purple energy barriers humming with enough power to vaporize a small moon. "Commander!" Lieutenant Kira Nexus burst through the sliding doors, her scales shifting from their usual calm blue to an agitated green. "We have another anomaly on the long-range scanners." Razzoth turned slowly, his cybernetic eye whirring as it adjusted focus. "Third one this week, Nexus. The humans are getting bolder." He clicked his mandibles in annoyance. "Show me." The holographic display sprang to life in the center of the command center, casting an eerie glow across the metallic walls. A red dot pulsed at the edge of their territorial boundary, moving with deliberate purpose toward their position. "Single biosignature this time, sir," Nexus reported, her claws dancing across the control panel. "There's something odd about the readings." Razzoth leaned forward, his natural eye narrowing. "Odd how, Lieutenant? The energy output is off the charts. No human should be generating this kind of signature. And look at these movement patterns. They're not trying to hide at all." The commander's exoskeleton bristled. In his 15 cycles of defending this outpost, he'd never seen anything quite like this. The humans were usually more subtle in their approaches, sending stealth teams or automated probes. This was different. This was, what was that Earth expression? A middle finger raised high. "Get me General Blitz Ravenclaw," Razzoth ordered, moving to his command chair. The seat adjusted to his form, neural interfaces connecting with his augmented nervous system. "And power up the defense grid, all of it." "Sir?" Nexus hesitated. "The full grid? That's enough firepower to level a city, yes," Razzoth finished. "And yet something tells me we're going to need every joule of it." The massive generators beneath the outpost hummed to life, sending vibrations through the reinforced structure. Outside, weapon systems emerged from hidden bunkers, their barrels gleaming in the harsh sunlight. Automated defense drones took to the sky, their anti-gravity drives leaving ripples in the air. "General Ravenclaw responding," announced the AI, as the holographic form of their superior materialized in the command center. "Razzoth," the general's mandibles clicked in greeting. "This better be important. I was in the middle of—" "Sir, we have an incursion," Razzoth cut in, knowing it would cost him but not caring. "A single human walking straight toward our most heavily fortified outpost in the sector." The general's compound eyes widened slightly. "A suicide mission?" "Unknown, sir, but the energy readings." Razzoth gestured to Nexus, who transferred the data to the general's feed. There was a long pause as Ravenclaw studied the information. His scales shifted through several colors before settling on a deep purple, a sign of serious concern among their kind. "Razzoth," the general's voice had lost its usual edge of condescension, "that outpost cannot fall. Whatever this human is, whatever they're planning, they cannot be allowed to breach our defenses. The secrets we protect there—" "Understood, sir." Razzoth's cybernetic eye glowed brighter. "We'll stop them." "See that you do, Commander. Otherwise, I'll have to implement Protocol Zero." The hologram vanished, leaving the command center in tense silence. Protocol Zero. The complete atomic destruction of the outpost and everything within a 100-kilometer radius. It would mean their deaths, but it would also ensure their secrets remained buried in radioactive ash. "Sir," Nexus's voice was quiet. "The human has crossed the outer marker. They'll be in weapons range in 3 minutes." Razzoth turned back to the window, watching as the distant figure became visible, a tiny speck against the vast desert. His artificial neural enhancers were already calculating firing solutions, analyzing wind patterns, predicting movement vectors. "Patch me into the external comms," he ordered. When Nexus nodded, he spoke, his voice booming across the desert. "Human, you have entered restricted space. Halt your advance immediately or we will open fire." The figure kept walking, steady and unwavering. "This is your final warning," Razzoth tried again. "We are authorized to use lethal force." Still no response. 2 minutes to weapons range. "Combat stations," Razzoth barked, all 4 arms moving to their control interfaces. Power up the primary defense batteries. Load the heavy ordnance. Around him, his crew scrambled to their positions, the atmosphere electric with tension. They had trained for this, drilled for every possible scenario. But somehow, watching that lone figure march toward them with such confidence made Razzoth's exoskeleton crawl. "Sir," Nexus called out, her voice tight, "they're in range." Razzoth's mandibles clicked together, a prayer to the old gods escaping them. "Target locked?" "Yes, sir. All weapons have a clear shot." "Then may the ancestors forgive us," Razzoth whispered. "Fire." The desert erupted in hellfire. Plasma bolts thick as transport ships screamed across the sand, their superheated trails leaving glass in their wake. Defensive turrets spat streams of hypervelocity rounds, each one capable of punching through battleship armor. The air itself seemed to burn as energy weapons turned the target zone into an inferno. For 30 seconds, they poured enough firepower to level a small city into that single spot. When the barrage finally ceased, a mushroom cloud of vaporized sand rose into the crimson sky. "Direct hits confirmed," Nexus reported, her scales rippling with satisfaction. "Multiple impacts on target. No way anything could have—" "Movement detected," the AI interrupted, its artificial voice somehow managing to sound confused. Razzoth's cybernetic eye zoomed in through the settling dust. His organic eye widened in disbelief. "Impossible." The figure emerged from the chaos, clothes slightly singed but otherwise unharmed. And now they could see him clearly. A human male, wearing what appeared to be standard Earth military fatigues. He was smiling. "Sir," Nexus's voice cracked, "scans indicate the target is completely intact, no significant damage detected." The human raised a hand in greeting and spoke, his voice carrying clearly through their audio pickups. "Hey there. Name's Marina Stone. Nice light show. Mind if we talk?" Razzoth's neural enhancers were screaming warnings, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. "Scan for shield technology, dimensional displacement, anything that could explain this." "Nothing, sir," Nexus replied, her claws flying over the controls. "He's generating massive energy readings, but we're not detecting any defensive systems. It's like it's coming from him." "Initiating diplomatic protocol," Razzoth announced, trying to keep his voice steady. He opened the external comms again. "Marina Stone, you have survived our warning shot. Explain your presence in this restricted zone." The human laughed, actually laughed, and kept walking. "Warning shot? Come on. We both know that was your big guns. Look, I'm here about the experiments you're running, the ones you think we don't know about." Razzoth felt his scales go cold. "Lieutenant, prepare the orbital strike package." "Already on it, sir." "Marina Stone," Razzoth tried again. "This is your final opportunity to retreat. We have orbital weapons locked on your position." "Yeah? Better make it count then," Stone shouted back cheerfully. He spread his arms wide as if welcoming the incoming destruction. "Because I gotta tell you, after what your little science project did to me, I'm really curious to see what's inside that base of yours." "Orbital strike ready," Nexus reported. "Execute." The skies split open as a lance of pure energy struck down from their satellite network. The impact was blinding, the shockwave powerful enough to make the reinforced outpost shudder. When their visual feeds recovered, a glowing crater marked the point of impact. And in its center, brushing dust off his shoulders, stood Marina Stone. "Okay, that one tickled a bit," he called out, rolling his neck. "My turn?" Before Razzoth could respond, Stone moved. One moment he was in the crater, the next he was halfway to their outer defenses. The speed was impossible for any normal human. "All units, open fire. Everything we have," Razzoth roared. The air filled with death again as every weapon on the base targeted the approaching figure. Plasma, bullets, energy beams, and exotic particles designed to tear apart matter at the subatomic level, all focused on one human who just wouldn't die. Stone walked through it all, occasionally swatting away projectiles as if they were annoying insects. "You know," his voice came through clearly despite the chaos, "I was kind of hoping you'd be reasonable about this, but hey, if you want to do it the hard way." He reached the outer defense barrier, the same barrier rated to stop capital ships, and placed his hand against it. The purple energy field sparked, sputtered, and died. "Sir," Nexus's voice was barely a whisper now. "He's not just resistant to our weapons. He's absorbing them. The energy readings from his body are off the scale." Razzoth watched as their most powerful weapons simply dissipated against Stone's approaching form. His cybernetic systems were already calculating their survival chances. The numbers weren't good. "Get me General Ravenclaw," he ordered. Tell him we need to discuss Protocol Zero." As if hearing him, Stone looked directly at the command center window and winked. Now, he called out. "Let's not do anything hasty. I just want to have a friendly chat about what you did to me and my team 6 months ago. You remember that, right? The abandoned research facility? The harmless experiments?" Razzoth's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress in his species. Because he did remember. And now he understood exactly what they were dealing with. They hadn't just shot a human, they'd shot their own greatest mistake. And he just laughed and kept on coming. "Breach in Sector 7, a panicked voice screamed over the comm. "He's through the outer wall." "How?" Razzoth demanded, all forearms gripping his command chair. "That wall is 3 meters of reinforced quantum steel." He just walked through it, sir. Left a human-shaped hole like in those Earth cartoons." The base's internal cameras showed Marcus Stone casually strolling through their corridors, whistling what their databases identified as "another one bites the dust." Security teams rushed to intercept him, armed with everything from sonic disruptors to antimatter pulse rifles. "Hello, boys." Stone waved at the first team he encountered. "Nice guns. Mind if I try one?" Before they could react, he crossed the distance in a blur, plucking a weapon from the nearest guard's hands. The alien soldier stumbled back, scales turning pale with terror. "Let's see." Stone examined the rifle with exaggerated interest. "Antimatter containment chamber, quantum oscillator. Pretty neat." He pointed it at a wall and pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. "Oh, right, forgot to mention, tech tends to stop working around me these days. Side effect of your little enhancement project, I think." The security team opened fire. Energy beams, projectiles, and waves of destructive force all converged on Stone. The corridor filled with smoke and debris. When it cleared, Stone was examining his singed sleeve with mild annoyance. "You know how much these uniforms cost? Actually, I don't either. Taxpayers foot the bill. But still, rude." "Fall back," the team leader screamed. "Emergency Protocol 7. Stone appeared beside him in an instant, patting him on the shoulder. The alien soldier fainted dead away. "Sir," Nexus's voice shook as she watched the feeds. "His energy absorption is increasing exponentially. Every weapon we use against him just makes him stronger." Razzoth's cybernetic eye whirred frantically, trying to process what he was seeing. His natural eye was fixed on the monitor showing Stone's casual advance through their most secure facility. "The containment units," he whispered. "If he reaches the containment units." "Commander?" General Ravenclaw's hologram burst to life. "Your perimeter is breached. Explain yourself." "Sir, our weapons are useless. He's some kind of energy absorber. The experiments we conducted are classified beyond your clearance, Commander," Ravenclaw snapped. "Initiate Protocol Zero immediately." "With respect, sir." Razzoth's mandibles clicked rapidly. "A nuclear response would only make him stronger. You don't understand what we're dealing with." On the screen, Stone had reached a heavy blast door. He knocked politely. "Anyone home? Pizza delivery?" "Sir," Nexus interrupted, "you need to see these readings. His cellular structure, it's not just absorbing energy, it's evolving, adapting in real time. Every attack creates new defenses. He's literally becoming invincible before our eyes." The blast door crumpled like paper as Stone pushed through. A squad of elite guards met him with their most exotic weapons. Temporal disruptors designed to age targets to dust, spatial shredders that could tear holes in reality itself. Stone walked through the barrage as if taking a spring stroll. "You know," he commented to a particularly terrified guard, "I was pretty mad at first. Being turned into some kind of perpetual energy battery hurt, a lot, but honestly," he gestured at the havoc around him, "this is kind of fun." "Commander," One of the bridge officers called out. "He's approaching the main reactor." Razzoth felt his heart stop. The reactor, a miniature star contained by fields of pure thought, could power a continent. If Stone absorbed that much energy. "Evacuation protocols," he roared. "All personnel, abandon the base. This is not a drill." "Belay that order." General Ravenclaw's hologram flickered angrily. "Anyone who abandons their post will be executed for treason." "Better dead for treason than dead for stupidity." Stone's voice came through their comms, somehow having hacked their secure channel. "Hey, General, long time no see. Still keeping secrets?" The General's hologram actually stumbled back. "Stone? Impossible. The testing chamber. The overload." "Yeah, about that." Stone's voice turned sharp, though he maintained his casual tone. "Turns out when you pump enough exotic energy into human cells, weird things happen. Speaking of which..." The base shuddered as Stone reached the reactor room. Through the security feeds, they watched him approach the containment sphere, whistling again. "Don't!" Ravenclaw screamed. "The reactor breach protocols..." "Oh, you mean these?" Stone held up a handful of destroyed control circuits. "Already taken care of. Now let's see what this baby can do." He plunged his hand into the reactor core. Alarms screamed across the facility as energy readings went astronomical. Stone's body began to glow, his eyes burning with stellar fire. "Sir," Nexus whispered, "his energy signature, it's higher than a small sun." Razzoth watched in horror as the human's body absorbed the power of their reactor, his form becoming almost too bright to look at. And still, impossibly, he was smiling. "Now then!" Stone's voice boomed through every speaker, every comm channel, the very walls themselves. "About those experiments you've been running on other humans. I think it's time we had a proper chat." The General's hologram vanished, leaving Razzoth alone with his crew and an impossible human who had just become a god. "So," Stone's glowing form turned toward the command center. "Who wants to go first?" Razzoth stood from his command chair, mandibles clicking in resignation. "I will speak with you, Marcus Stone, but first, release the reactor's containment. Even your new abilities might not survive if it goes critical." Stone considered this, then shrugged. The blinding glow around him dimmed as he fed energy back into the reactor core. "Fair enough. Always did prefer a civilized conversation anyway." "Sir," Nexus protested, "the security protocols..." "Are pointless now," Razzoth cut her off. "Patch him through to the command center, full holoform." A moment later, Stone's image materialized in their midst, still crackling with residual energy. Up close, they could see the changes their experiments had wrought. His skin had a metallic sheen, and his eyes looked like distant galaxies. "6 months ago," Stone began, casually leaning against a control panel that sparked and died at his touch, "your research team grabbed me and my squad. Said they were conducting routine medical screens. Remember that part, Commander?" Razzoth's cybernetic eye whirred as it accessed sealed files. "Project Prometheus, classified level Ultra Black. We were attempting to upgrade ourselves by using humans as lab rats." Stone's smile didn't waver, but the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. "Want to tell them what happened next?" "The experiments failed. All subjects died during the energy infusion process except me," Stone finished. "And you want to know the really funny part? Your scientists were so focused on their readings that they didn't even notice when I stopped dying and started adapting." Nexus pulled up the classified files, her scales paling as she read. The Prometheus protocol was designed to create soldiers who could manipulate energy at its fundamental level, but our biology couldn't handle the process. "So you decided to test it on humans," Stone nodded. "Because who would miss a few missing soldiers? But here's what you didn't know. Humans are really, really good at adapting. Push us hard enough." He snapped his fingers and every piece of technology in the room went dead. Then, with another snap, it all came back online. "We push back," he finished. "The energy infusion," Razzoth whispered. "It should have torn your cells apart. Instead, it rewrote them. Every blast of radiation, every surge of power, every attempt to destroy the failed experiment just gave me more control, more understanding, Stone's eyes flashed. More power. The classified files told the rest of the story, how Stone's vital signs had flatlined for 6 minutes during the procedure, how the research team had celebrated their apparent success when he revived, and how everything had gone wrong when they realized they couldn't control him. Your scientists panicked, Stone continued, pacing the command center. Tried to overload the testing chamber's reactor to eliminate the evidence. Really should have read up on human survival stories first. Nexus's claws flew over her console. The energy readings from that day, they're identical to your current signature, just weaker. You've been growing stronger. Give the lady a prize. Yeah, it turns out nearly dying in an exotic radiation blast doesn't kill you if your cells learn to eat energy for breakfast. Who knew? Razzoth's organic eye narrowed. You could have attacked us at any time in the past 6 months. Why wait? Why now? Stone's smile finally faded. Because I needed to understand what I'd become. Needed to learn control. And most importantly, his form flickered, appearing instantly beside Nexus's station. I needed to find the other facilities, the other experiments. There are no other, Razzoth began. Don't lie to me. Each word from Stone dropped the room's temperature further. I can sense them. Little pockets of the same energy that changed me. So here's what's going to happen. He moved to the central holotable, interfacing directly with it through his altered biology. A map of the sector appeared, showing dozens of hidden facilities. You're going to shut them all down, release anyone you're holding, and then you're going to help me track down everyone involved in Project Prometheus. Stone's voice was still casual, still almost friendly. Because if you don't... He touched the holotable again, and the map changed, showing the possible results of him visiting each facility the way he'd visited this one. The projections were apocalyptic. Impossible, one of the bridge officers whispered. The calculations show your power level would increase exponentially with each facility's energy you absorb. You'd become unstoppable. Stone laughed. Buddy, I passed that point somewhere between your orbital strike and the reactor snack. Now I'm just trying to do this the nice way. Razzoth slumped in his command chair. Everything they'd feared about human adaptability, human resourcefulness, human sheer bloody-minded determination to survive. They'd proven it all true in the worst possible way. You understand, of course, he said quietly, that helping you will be considered treason. Stone shrugged. And experimenting on sentient beings was what? Community service? Come on, Commander. We both know your superiors will disavow all knowledge of this project the moment it goes public. Might as well do the right thing for once. The command center fell silent as Razzoth considered their options. They had none. Sir, a new voice cut through the tension. Priority transmission from High Command. Before Razzoth could respond, every screen in the command center lit up with the same message. Protocol 0 initiated. Remote override. Detonation in 3 minutes. Stone's eyes narrowed. Now that's just petty. No, Razzoth breathed, his scales turning ash-gray. They can't. My crew. Your crew, General Ravenclaw's hologram reappeared, are acceptable losses to prevent this abomination from spreading. Stone's power must not be allowed to grow. Stone turned to the hologram, smile still firmly in place. You know what's funny, General? You think you're the scariest thing in this room? He walked toward Ravenclaw's image. But I've seen what's in your other facilities, the things you're trying to create, and compared to those, you're just a bureaucrat with a big red button. 2 minutes to detonation, the base AI announced calmly. Nexus looked at her commander. Sir, orders? Razzoth stood, drawing himself to his full height. Begin evacuation procedures. All personnel to emergency transport. Belay that, Ravenclaw roared. Anyone who leaves dies a traitor's death. Better than dying a coward's death, Razzoth snarled back. Then to everyone's surprise, he turned to Stone. Can you stop it? Stone raised an eyebrow. The nuclear detonation? Sure. Child's play at this point, but... His smile turned predatory. I want something in return. 1 minute 30 seconds to detonation. Name it, Razzoth said, even as Ravenclaw screamed protests. A choice, Stone said simply. Help me shut down the other facilities, end these experiments, or... He gestured at the countdown. Try your luck with the blast. You'd let them all die? Ravenclaw laughed. Some hero. Says the man who just triggered a nuclear bomb under his own people, Stone shot back. Then to Razzoth. Tick-tock, Commander. What's it going to be? 1 minute to detonation. Razzoth looked at his crew, loyal soldiers who'd followed his orders without question. He looked at the classified files still displayed on their screens, showing the true horror of what their military had been doing. Finally, he looked at Stone, this impossible human they'd created through their own arrogance. Nexus, he said quietly. Initiate data transfer protocols. Send everything we have on Project Prometheus and its related facilities to Stone's neural signature. You fool! Ravenclaw's hologram flickered with rage. You'll doom us all. 30 seconds to detonation. No, General. Razzoth's mandibles clicked in determination. We doomed ourselves the moment we decided to play God with other species. Stone is just the universe's way of balancing the scales. Stone nodded, then raised his hands. Energy crackled around him as he connected with the base's systems. Now about that bomb. 15 seconds to detonation. You know, Stone commented as he worked, sweat actually beading on his forehead. This would be easier if someone hadn't eaten a reactor core earlier. Talk about indigestion. 10 seconds. Almost got it. 5. Just one more. 4. Almost. 3. There. 2. Detonation sequence canceled, the AI announced, sounding almost relieved. Primary and secondary triggers disabled. Tertiary systems offline. Stone stumbled slightly, catching himself on a console. Woo. Anyone else feel like lunch? Defusing nukes always makes me hungry. Ravenclaw's hologram had gone completely still. This changes nothing. High Command will never allow— High Command, Stone interrupted, is about to have much bigger problems than one escaped experiment. He turned to Razzoth. The data transfer complete? Nexus nodded. All files transferred, including personal logs and command authorization codes. Perfect. Stone cracked his knuckles. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have about 30 other facilities to visit. And General? His smile turned arctic. I saved your location for last. Hope you don't mind waiting. The hologram vanished without another word. Razzoth's cybernetic eye focused on Stone. What will you do with the other test subjects, if any survived? Give them a choice, Stone said simply. Same as I gave you. Help fix this mess, or— He shrugged. Though personally, I'm hoping they choose to help. Being the only energy-eating superhuman at the party gets pretty lonely. And us? Nexus asked quietly. You chose to help. That counts for something. Stone headed for the exit, then paused. Oh, and Commander? Next time you want to study human adaptability, maybe try asking nicely first. With that, he walked through the wall, leaving behind a perfectly human-shaped hole and a command center full of stunned aliens. Razzoth looked at the hole, then at his trembling crew, and finally at the classified files still displaying evidence of their military's darkest secrets. Well, he said to no one in particular, at least we learned something from all this. Sir, Nexus prompted, never experiment on a species that turns failure into evolution. He paused. And if you do, don't shoot them. It only makes them stronger. 3 months later, Razzoth sat at his new desk in the Interspecies Cooperation Division, reviewing the latest reports. His cybernetic eye had been replaced with a standard model, no weapon systems included. Sir, Nexus entered carrying a holographic tablet. The latest update from Stone's team. How many facilities have they found now? 47. She placed the tablet on his desk. And they've successfully rehabilitated over 200 human test subjects. Turns out Stone wasn't the only one who adapted. Razzoth clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Any of them as powerful as him? No, sir, but there's a human phrase that fits. Quantity has a quality all its own. The tablet displayed images of former test subjects learning to control their new abilities. Some could manipulate specific types of energy. Others had developed more unique adaptations. All of them were helping to dismantle what remained of Project Prometheus. And General Ravenclaw? Nexus's scales rippled with amusement. Still in protective custody, though I hear he's developed an interesting nervous tic whenever anyone mentions Earth cartoons. Can't imagine why, Razzoth said dryly. Any word from Stone himself? As if on cue, their office wall sprouted a human-shaped hole. Stone stepped through, wearing a shirt that read, "Doors are for people who can't absorb kinetic energy." You know, Razzoth sighed, we do have a perfectly functional door. Where's the fun in that? Stone grinned. Besides, your repair droids needed the practice. He dropped into a chair that creaked ominously under him. Got something you'll want to see, Commander? Or should I say, Director of Human Relations? Please don't. The title still sounds like a joke. That's because it is. But hey, at least you're not in prison like your old boss. Stone tossed a small device onto the desk. It projected an image of Earth. Guess what? Your people aren't the only ones who were running unauthorized experiments. Razzoth's remaining organic eye widened. You mean? Yep, turns out humans were trying to crack energy manipulation too. They just weren't as ethically challenged about it. Stone leaned back. So, want to help us shut those down too? You want us to help stop human experiments? Nexus asked incredulously. Sure, call it community service. Besides, Stone's grin turned mischievous. You guys are the experts on what not to do. Razzoth looked at the projection, then at the man their arrogance had transformed into something beyond their comprehension. Will there be shooting involved? Probably. And I assume you'll be walking through more walls? Obviously. Then I have just one question. Razzoth's mandibles clicked in resignation. When do we start? Stone stood, his form already crackling with barely contained energy. Right now. Oh, and fair warning. These guys probably won't shoot me, but they might shoot you. Wonderful, Razzoth muttered, following Stone toward the door. Then he stopped. Wait, are you actually going to use the door this time? Stone looked offended. What, and ruin my brand? He walked straight through the wall, leaving behind his signature hole. Nexus looked at the hole, then at her commander. Sir, did we just agree to help a human shut down human research facilities? Yes, Lieutenant, yes we did. Razzoth headed for the door, because some people still respected basic architecture. Consider it a lesson in irony. Now come on, we have some humans to stop from becoming too much like us. As they left, the repair droids emerged to fix the wall, their programming updated to specifically handle human-shaped holes. They had gotten very good at it.